Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. DMI 15 10 Copywriting Mastery. This is a very important class. Okay, welcome back. Welcome back. I'm glad you came by. I'm glad you made it to class number 10. Do me a favor, okay? Uh, on your next homework, I want you to please tell me what you think. Give me a feedback of what you're getting so far. Are you learning a lot? Any kind of haha moment, I want you to share with me. Okay, I want you to share with me what you like the most about this classes thus far. It's getting more interesting. Okay, it's gonna get more interesting. So um, strap your seatbelt even tighter. Okay, it's gonna be a lot of fun. All right, so let's get going. Okay, copywriting mastery. Copywriting. What is copywriting? This is not copyright. It's not the same thing as copyright, which is something you deal with when it comes to intellectual property rights. Okay, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about copywriting. So you're going to see us use the word copywriting a lot. Okay, copywriting. Okay, well, actually you're gonna write script. You're gonna write script for your videos, your audio, your podcast, but actually scripts to be read as is on written text. What is copywriting? Is the idea, the art and science of using written words to influence and persuade humans to take desired action. So let's break that down. The idea, it's an idea for most people. Okay, most people, this is the number one skill set that I've ever learned. Okay, this is the skill set that has paid me the most money ever in my life. It's not real estate, it's not marketing by itself, it's not social media. Okay, it's literally copywriting. Okay, as a matter of fact, one thing that I haven't been very good at is generating tons of traffic, but I've been very good at converting the little traffic that I know that I have into sales. Okay, so learning how to that is going to remain an idea for most human beings. So if you can master this skill set, you become extremely powerful. It's a dangerous skill set to have. Does that make sense? All right. So it's an idea for most people. Okay. Now for you, this is going to be mostly an art. Okay. That means a lot of practice. Okay. You have to practice until it becomes second nature. All right. You need to practice, 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 repetition, and then it becomes second nature, and then it becomes a skill set that you two can brag around and say, I have this skill set. I can literally destroy human beings with this skill set. I can make them do things that they don't necessarily want to do. Okay, but hey, we're going to talk about that in a second here. Okay, there's a science to it. I'm breaking it down to some science, so you can understand it and you can build out from there. Okay, so I'm not gonna give you all of the possibilities. Like if I could give you all the possibilities of having the skill set of copywriting today, then it's no longer even like anyone can literally jump on it and then read a book on online. It's not that simple. Okay, it takes a lot of practice. So even after I teach you today, it's going to take a lot of practice. Okay, for you to master it. Okay, it's going to take thousands of hours of using this skill set. Okay, but I'm going to share some tips with you today that will allow you to do that naturally without having to overthink it. Okay, you're going to use this even in your interactions, in your relationships. It's a good skill set to have. Okay, because remember that this can be used dangerously, but I'm going to teach you how to use it to do good, right? To create impact in this world, to put out your positive, good message to your marketplace, right? So now to get people to convert from just a mere prospect to becoming customers or becoming a disciple or becoming an evangelist for your mission, right? to get them to do that, you have to get them to take action, okay? To take a desired action, all right? So they're clicking on your website, they're watching your video, they're sharing it, all these kind of different things, right? You want people to be able to do that. How are you able to do that? Okay, so I have some tips I'm going to be sharing with you here today. In fact, one of the first I'm going to put right here under how is pre-framing. I'm going to explain what that is in a second, okay? But let's continue here. So we have idea, we have arts, we have science. We're talking about written words, okay? Written words, not just spoken words. I prefer that you script your words for particularly your business, okay? It can become very natural for you. You can also create outlines. It doesn't have to be scripted word for word. You can have an outline of what you want to cover and not just wing things along. You don't want to be that guy or that lady or that guy that's winging things along. Okay. Let me see here. Yeah.
So I'm a part of this page.
Sorry about that. Yeah, you don't want to be that person winging things along. Okay. You don't want to be that person. Okay. You want to have a plan. You want to plan everything you say when it comes to digital marketing. Okay. Again, you might not be able to get tons of traffic and followers, but the followers you get will love you. They will convert. What do I mean by convert? They will take your desired action. It could be something as simple as click over to your website. Because of what? Because of your written words. You've learned how to sculpture your words in a way that actually get them to take action. Okay. Let's say they've clicked over to your website. What about them handing over their email address to you, right? A lead conversion, basically them getting on your list. We covered this in detail. Remember earlier in the sessions, right? You're building a list, right? So again, it's key. This skill set, you're going to find it useful at every junction in your journey. Does that make sense? Very, very important. So written words, very important. Influence, okay, as against what, right? Influence. So influence, we have audience, right? You have the people you're dealing with. You have your prospect, like I said, you have your people that you want them to become customers. Okay. This audience, they're coming over to your website, they're coming over to your Twitter page, are they taking the action you want them to take? Why not? Why is it that they're not taking? I'll tell you why. This is why. It's probably this part is either missing or you're doing a bad job communicating what the value is, right? Some people call it unique selling proposition. Some people say, what's the unique value? They are. Bottom line is that what's in it for them? WIIFM. WIIFM. What's in it for me? If people are not able to identify what's in it for them in whatever your words are, it's not going to work. So how do you structure that? That's what we're talking about today. Okay. So it goes back to influence. Influence is influence and not manipulation, because there's value in it for the prospect, for the audience. Okay. It's influence and not manipulation because there is value in it. Okay. It's persuasion. Okay. Persuade and not manipulation, right? Because of the same reason. Okay. Same reason. That's what we focus on. You will, yes, engage in persuasion. That means sell me. Okay. You will not shy away from the word selling. Okay, because you're always selling anyway. If you're going to always be selling anyway, why not just learn how to do it properly in a way that you actually bring value, right? This is the key to everything I am talking about. Does it make sense? So persuasion is something that's what copywriting does. Okay, persuasion, right? Now I said humans because humans particularly are a special type of creature. Okay, they're driven by emotions. Okay, Driven by emotions. Buying decisions are made by emotions 80% or 85% of the time. 85% of the time. Then they now justify with logic later, right? Like we're not really logical beings. We're just not, okay? So emotions. So it's not just going to, because of that, it's not enough for you to be talking about the features of your product, right? If I ask you to sell this water, it's not enough to say, hey, it's cold. It's not enough. It's about what does it make them feel, right? So it's a features versus benefits, but not just benefits from an emotional standpoint. Okay. Now that's gonna be a stretch, okay? Because most of us were like emotional standpoint. What do you mean? Okay, now you gotta think a little deeper. This is why I told you this is the highest paying skill set for me in my career. And one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made is the fact that I haven't spent enough energy on mastering it all the way. But if I'm going to attribute any level of success I've had over time, either in real estate, in purely digital marketing, it's been because of my ability to use words to get people to take action. This is key. All right, speaking of taking actions, what else are we talking about? Desired action. Okay, not just taking action. We don't want them to just roam around your website. We want them to do what you want them to do. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna actually tell you right now. One of the first steps is to know how to ask. Just ask. Like I want you to do this. They are your audience already, right? So when it comes to how you're going to you're just gonna have to be okay with asking. Okay. Closed mouths don't get fed. But hey, everyone can ask. What's the difference, Ola? So what is this special skill set if all I have to do is ask? No, all you have to do is not ask. I'm going to share with you some other things you need to do in a few minutes. Okay, all you have to do is not just ask. All right, so let's go over this again really quickly. Copywriting is going to remain an idea for most people. Okay, not you. Okay, as far as you, today is going to be an art and some science to it. Okay, I'm going to give you science is going to be the base for you that you can build on top of, right? And we're talking about written words. Okay, written words. If you want later on, you can turn this to an outline. It doesn't have to be word for word, but you have to kind of plan. Okay, successful people plan. Okay, they do. All right, they can pivot, they can adjust along the way, but we don't just jump on the video and start talking. Okay, you need some sort of outline, and the outline needs to follow the protocol of copywriting, meaning ultimately you're trying to sell something. You need to be okay with selling. You need to become comfortable with selling. Why? Because you will sell anyway. The only other thing you can try to sell me right now is to sell me the idea that you don't like selling. You're still selling the idea, okay, that you do not like selling. So if you're going to sell anyway, why not master? Right? Why not become a master at selling? Right? Why not become a master at selling where the people you're selling to, because at the end of the day, they still don't want to be sold. It's just not nice, right? It doesn't feel nice. But they don't mind because they're getting, remember, value, right? They're getting value. As a matter of fact, you're reminding them of the value in working with you, and they can appreciate that. Okay, so this is key. This is key to everything I'm covering here. Value. This is the key right here. I don't know. I need to kind of like spell this out a little bit more other ways. Value, right? Everything we're going to cover today is about value. I'm not talking about characters and moral values. Okay, I'm not talking about your personal character and moral. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what's in it for me, for them, particularly from an emotional standpoint. How would they feel? What transformations will happen when they engage your product or services? If you can't identify that, if you haven't gotten the chance to identify that. Sometimes your stuff is too tangible and you don't feel like, for example, let's say I want you to sell this chapstick, right? You may be like, what? Like, hey, let me tell you something. You will sell more of these chapsticks if there's a story behind it. If you're able to tell a story behind it, you will sell more of it. Why? Because again, feelings, emotions, that's what it comes down to. Okay? That's what makes people buy. People buy based off of their emotions 85% of the time and then justify their BS with logic later, right? And they're convinced. They tell themselves lies to convince themselves that they actually bought it based off of logic. It just makes sense. It's a lie. Okay? For the most part, 85% of the time, it's a lie. You bought that Tesla because of the feelings. You bought a house because of the feeling. You bought that nice outfit because of the feeling. If it makes you feel comfortable, it makes you feel comfortable. I bought it because I'm just comfortable now. It feels comfortable. Okay? It's feelings. That's what it comes down to. So copywriting mastery, what is copywriting? It's the idea, the art, and science of using written words to influence and persuade humans to take desired actions. Okay, so so hopefully you have an idea of what we're getting into here. Okay, now why should you master the art of copywriting? Let's actually start from here. Okay, these are all the skill set that you've been learning thus far. You're going to, again, like I said, you're going to find this skill set necessary at every junction you find. Okay. Content scripting. Okay. Or we can put outline. Okay. So let me put script here, right? Content script or outline. You need to write every content you will write for the rest of your life again. Every content you will create, even if it's a video, you need to have a plan. Okay, there has to be some kind of objective at the end of it, right? So plan for what? There's got to be some kind of objective, right? What are you trying to do? I know it's just an article. You're just trying to, build audience, bring more people to the yard, right? But what is every article must have some kind of objective. So, for example, for me right now, I literally just created a dream 100 plan to roll out another 100 pieces of content on my YouTube channel that's designed to attract people, prospects that already follow other gurus and influencers, right? I have an objective for each one of the objective is the same for all of them. The idea is to get them to go and download my book for every piece of content. So I'm trying to sell that. Okay, I'm trying to sell that. But okay, so trying to sell that, there's a stage by stage of things that have to happen there. So again, when it comes to content creation, you will need the skill set. The second thing you need this for is ads copy. We call it copy because it's the same word from copywriting, right? We call it copy, right? So let's go to I'm just going to go into Google and search for let's see, learn, let's try AWS cloud. Okay, so learn AWS cloud. It's just a IT class, right, that people sell. As you can see here, there are some ads right at the very top. Okay, there's some ads right at the very, very top of that page. So these are ad copies. This is what you call ad copies. What you write in this ad copy will get people to click on it. Okay, right? It will get people to click on it or not click on it, right? You want more people clicking on it than people that are not clicking on it, right? It's very, very simple. You want to get people clicking. So there are ways that you structure your words here that will get people to click. So let's look at this, for example. This one says AWS Certified Cloud Course, Udemy official site. Okay, so this is on Udemy. Udemy is advertising this. Join millions of learners from around the world are already learning on Udemy. Get AWS certified. No programming or AWS experience required. Start today. View categories. Okay, So a person that will search this and has they're about to buy, possibly, right? They want to master it. Let's see if there's any other one we can look at. Work on real world project. This is on Udacity. That's a very similar name to Udemy. Get support from expert mentors and learn from industry pros. Okay, so now this one is off. There's an offer here, right? So a lot of people can have the fear of just learning it but not having real mentors to work with. So now this copy is addressing that. Okay, this copy is addressing a pain point. What is the pain point? I can learn all this stuff. I can start reading all this stuff, but I need a mentor to explain, break things down for me. Okay. I need real life projects. I just don't want to read books, right? I want to actually work on real life projects. Problem is solved, right? So I don't know if you noticed, I'm picking up some words there really quickly, right? So now if you go to this one, says Cloud Academy, build your cloud skills, study and practice anytime, anywhere, only on Cloud Academy. Take now the first step. Okay, so those are all ad copies. These ad copies that I'm looking at are not impressive. Okay, they're not, but maybe because I'm not really their audience, right? But they're not impressive. This one says move faster. I like this one better. Why? Because of the word faster, right? So, and the idea of anything easier, simpler, better, faster is a real thing. That's a real thing. So if you can infuse that into your ad copies, it works, you know. Anyway, those were some examples I wanted to show you really quickly. So again, another reason why you need to learn this skill set is content scripting and ad copy, to write a compelling ad copy that get people to click. Because if these ads are showing and I'm not clicking, there's certain times that people bid on impressions. I'm wasting money and I'm not getting people to click on the ad. You want to get people to click on the ad. That's the goal. That's the objective. Okay, so the objective is clicks, right? At this point. So when it comes to ads, the objective is that people click on the ad. How do you get them to click on the ad? You have to do a really good job at copywriting. Okay. Email newsletter. You're sending emails to people on a regular basis, email newsletter or autoresponders, right? And how do you get people to take the next step of action from the email? You're not just sending them email just to read. You want them to click over to your website. You want them to buy something, whatever the objective is, right? Remember, we already said there's always some type of objective. So you're going to also find this useful in email newsletter. What about sales letter? You're going to find this super useful in sales letter, okay? All right. A sales letter is designed to get people to buy at the end of the sales letter. What is the objective? They need to buy, right? How are you going to do that? Your words, the way you structure your words together will make them do that. So many of you basically came in because I use words to get you to buy, okay? I spoke the same words after scripting them. I spoke them on a video, okay? So that's one. Okay, so speaking of video, then we have video sales letter, right? So it's first of all scripted out, and then we have video sales letter. Okay, same theme, same principle, video sales letter. All right, so we also have webinars. Okay, webinars is basically online seminars, where you're presenting a sale. So you do a 90 minutes presentation, then you're selling at the end of it, right? So that's called a webinar. So this is again another reason why you need copywriting. Hey, let me tell you something. There are 20,000 different reasons why you need to learn copywriting, why you need to be a perpetual student of copywriting. Okay, it's very, very important. Because at every junction you get to, you're going to write. Now, you could be an analyst, a digital marketing analyst, and all you're concerned about is the numbers. You still want to be in a position where you can at least have an overview and say, this number is converting better than this. This ad copy seems like it's converting better. You may not be able to get creative and create it because you're not the copywriting, but you need to understand what's going on, even as an analyst. Okay? Very, very important. So again, when it comes to writing articles or creating videos purely for content marketing, you will find this skill set super it makes actually your writing even easier, because you, for every junction in your writing, you have an idea of what you're trying to write. Okay. Hard copies. I just showed you an example of hard copies. Email newsletter. That's either long or short. Every word should serve a purpose, an objective, right? A sales letter. Let me give you an example of what a sales letter is, right? Oh, well, let's see if I can find an example right here. Apple slash let me think. Let's see, 11. There you go. All right, so I found a good example here. This is a sales letter. This is a sales letter on this page. Okay, it's designed to sell. Okay, it has credibility. It has what do you call it? Scarcity. It uses certain tactics to get people to buy. I'm going to share some of those with you later. Then bonuses, the way we price out everything is orchestrated and planned out here. Okay, not only that, we've turned it into a video sales letter as well. Okay, so this is the same letter that you read, and people are buying this essentially $47. Okay, they joined the challenge. In fact, the word challenge is part of the copy. Okay, we call it copy, right? It's part of the copy. The checks, the testimonials, again, anything that will provoke people's emotions to want to take action, right? That's our job to do. That's your job as a salesperson, digital salesperson, to make that happen. If you're an analyst, your job is to be able to identify, say, hey, this one seems to be converting. You're able to do A/B split testings of all sorts, because that's what it comes down to. You want to get people converting to sales. All right. So that's an example, a real life example of a sales letter and a video sales letter. But even if I go to lolaanola.com/blog, our content over here is an example of how we literally script everything out and we plan for every word, right? The objective in every article is to get people to go download the book, right? So here's the thing. When this is showing here, it almost looks like an ad, right? The title is designed, there's copywriting in the title. How you write your titles for any piece of content is key. So I can't even talk about, title. I have to talk about title here, right? So even when it comes to SEO, right? Your title and your description will get people to click more, right? So if we go back here, scroll down to other sites that are trying to rank for that same terminology. See, I like best AWS courses and certification. That's okay, right? Let's scroll down a little bit. Again, a lot of these pages are branded schools. AWS Cloud Practitioner Tutorial, right? 7 best AWS courses for beginners. That's a good one. But then they repeated it. They could have given me a much more compelling description here, right? Like, for example, this one says top Amazon AWS courses outline. Learn more about AWS. Okay, it's a cloud computing platform with more than 200 featured. Okay, all right. So what is the gist here? What you design here as words in the title and the description makes all the difference. That's what I'm trying to say. Makes all the difference in how many. So for how many 1,000 impressions, how many clicks do you get for one title as against another title? Testing this is basically how people win. It's called A/B split testing. You want to be able to test different titles until you find the ones that's winning. Eventually, you'll find a formula that's winning for you. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. So title of anything is what people see first. No matter how good your content is, if the title is not compelling enough, okay, to get them to click on it, what's the point? It's pointless. It's useless, right? It becomes useless. So title, and then when it comes to SEO, the title and description, right? Title and description is basically what Google picks up and use to pick people's interest. If people are not clicking on it enough, guess what's going to happen? Google will drop you out of the ranking. They'll drop your ranking even lower and lower and lower. Okay, very simple. So if I go here, say dog training, let me see if people still advertise on that. Okay, so there's a dog training advertisement here. There's a local listing here. And let's see, this one says Caring Minds and Manner Dog Training. And Google knows that right now I'm taping this from Canada, right? So it comes off as .ca, Calgary Best Dog Training Experts, offering dog training and puppy training classes in Calgary. Okay, so I would like, this is a terrible copy in the description. Okay, I would come up with I would pretend like there's a competition right next door looking to take my position, and I will make sure I write a compelling description to get people to continue to click on it. I think it's really cute that they have a dog here. That's a step in the right direction. Now, this person is what I'm talking about. This person says Dog Training 101. How to completely train your dog. Any how-tos, passes all the time, as long as you get the right audience in front of the content, right? Okay. So this one says this step by step is always compelling, because sometimes there's a lump of information, and especially if you don't have the right audience, if it's a cold audience, they won't click on your stuff if it doesn't tell them that it's going to be straight to the point, step by step guide is these are buzzwords in copywriting that you want to get familiar with. Get started, right? Completely train your dog, right? So I would want more reasons in this. Why should I pick you and not the guy that's about to rank next to me, right? I would want that, right? All right, so that's key right there. So let's get into a little bit of the how do we do this. Okay, how do we do this? First of all, pre-framing. Okay, I said pre-framing earlier. There's some background things that happened behind the scenes earlier on before you actually ask people for sale. Okay, there's a lot of pre-framing that goes down before you actually ask people for sale. Before you ask people to buy from you. Very, very important. All right, so and that's what I mean by pre-framing. Okay, the people already get by the time they get to pulling out the credit card to pay you for something, you want them to be ready to go. You want them to already start to feel stupid if they don't buy on that day, right? And that's what pre-framing is. So there's a step-by-step to getting that to happen. I'm going to give you some of them today, and then I'm going to give you some material, some homework material to build on top of. Okay. So let's talk about some of the steps. The formula I use are very simple. Okay, that I build on top of is very simple. Okay, the first is problem. Okay, it has to be some sort of problem. Okay, identify some sort of problem. Problem no dey finish. That's what we say in Nigeria, right? There's problems everywhere, and if you're not able to sell, it's probably you're doing a terrible job of identify existing problems and then identifying and then pointing people to a solution. Okay, so that's one angle to copywriting. So are you just going to say this is the problem, this is the solution? No, you have to spell it out. Okay, so you have to literally spell out everything about that problem. What does it feel like? Where does it come from? How does it feel? How terrible does it feel? What are the words, adjectives, and adverbs that you can use to qualify what you're trying to describe? You have to do a super duper work in describing in detail the words that describe the feelings that comes with whatever this problem is. Okay. Another one is question and answer. Okay, these are the foundation you can build on top of, right? People have questions. They go on Google, they ask questions. How do I know? Well, nowadays we know because the moment I go into Google and oh, sorry, let me go to google.com. Well, let's see, let me google.com, right? The moment I go here and I start to type how to what happens? People are asking questions all the time. Can you be the one creating content for this, right? That's content marketing, right? But you get the gist. So how to is always a powerful uh you know how to or what is, right? People start typing in what is, right, or people start say where is, right? These are questions, right? How do I how do I connect to the cloud? How do I become a doctor? So now not only are they reading my previous behavior, they're giving me some potential answer of what I may be looking for, right? All right, so now let's get back to here. Let's see. Oh, let's get back here. All right, good. So the other thing I want you to pay attention to that you want to spell out in your writings is pain to pleasure, right? You need to spell it out. What pain are we trying to eradicate, right? What pleasure would your ideal audience want to experience right now? Okay. Or let's add this to it. Relief. What kind of relief do you think your words can provide for them? Remember, feelings and emotions only. Okay. First, feelings, emotions first. Okay. Listen, just like normal human beings, right? They have feelings, they have emotions, and they use that to make buying decisions. And then they justify with logic. You should be doing the same thing in your write ups. You still need some logic, okay? You can bring some stats, okay? But the stats should actually be helping them provoke the emotions, okay? You're not bringing stats so you can start to sound smarter than the next person. The smarter you sound, there's a good chance you actually will kill the sales. Sure, you can provide some stats, but the objective behind the stats is to provoke the emotions that will get them to be making buying decisions. Completely irrational, okay? But justifiable with logic later. And you are bringing real value, so there's nothing to feel unethical about. You will be bringing real value. You will be delivering, over delivering value. Okay? So after feelings, then you can now bring some stats to justify the feelings you've managed to provoke to help even perpetuate the feeling and the emotions that comes with whatever the pain that they have, all the questions that they have, all the problem that they have. And then guess who's going to provide the solution, the answer, and the pleasure and the relief? Guess who's going to be the automatic provider of those things? Even before you say it, right? If you're able to identify the problem at this level where you're using uh, adverbs, right, and adjectives, right, to describe, you want to be very descriptive, right, on what you're trying to tell them. Okay, you want to describe it. You want them to feel the emotions of the pain, the picture you're painting in their head of the pain, the questions, the problems. You want them to feel it. Okay. So stats and logic can come at some point to justify how you're already making them feel right now. This is all part of the pre-framing. Okay? This is all part of the pre-framing. Okay? So how you
Siri here.
shut up, Siri. So how you describe it is everything. So one of the skill sets that you will learn, okay, is storytelling. Storytelling, okay. There is actually a saying that, uh, that that facts tell, but story sells. Okay. So if you're a good storyteller, you know, you will sell your products a lot more easier. Okay. You will sell the action you want them to take a lot more easier because you're able to describe, you're not shying away from describing the pain that accompanies the idea of not taking action. Right. So I want to show you some examples in a second here. Okay. I have some material that I personally use. I can definitely build on top of what I already have. And like I said, able to get people to sign over their life, literally, um, in a good way, because they needed to, because there's value in it for them, right? Not their life, but like a whole real estate property and stuff like that, because of using structuring your words in a certain way. A big part of that is, also active listening, so you're going to see that a lot, so you listen active. What is active listening when it comes to copywriting? You listen to the market. Okay. What is that? Market research. Market research. Okay. You're not just going to just talk. Okay. You want to see what people are asking. What kind of questions are they asking? What's on their mind? And you want to write and create content and ads and sales letter around how they feel. Do you notice I keep saying how they feel, how they feel? Have you noticed that yet thus far? Right? It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. This is real life. Okay. This is literally how it goes down. So if I click this title, like I was saying, is designed to make me click right into the article. If I click into the article, a lot of our content is scripted. We script it, or on lola.com we particularly script it because we want them to be evergreen and we want structure around it. But they're also copyrighted, right? They're written in certain way. Sorry about this trauma. It's going to take a lot of work to get out of this funk. And I'm sorry you have to go through this. Why am I being sorry, right? This is empathy. Okay. So empathy is another element that you want to add into your copywriting. Okay. You get to learn a lot about this. So it's a never ending skill set that if you just take 20% of it and you implement it, you will see a dramatic difference in how people respond to the material or the message or the impact you're trying to put out into the world. Okay. So even in our articles, we practice it. The idea of numbered list is part of copywriting as well. Okay. So let me go here. Let me show you if I can see. Doing every gimmicky things. I'm reading from my own. This is a sales letter I wrote, right? You feel even worse if you spend 40,000 hours watching free YouTube videos collecting information, doing every gimmicky things prescribed by gurus, such as gurus are the enemy. Okay, this is basically something we call you're pointing out their fear. Okay, they have you didn't create the fear, it's there, but you have to kind of provoke it to get them to feel. Okay, you want them to feel very strongly about the fear in that point in time. More importantly, by the time we finish the sales letter, you want them to have the fear of not taking action. And if they don't take action, they wouldn't be able to sleep. They'll keep coming back to it. A good, decent enough percentage of them. Okay, you will never close 100% of anything. Okay, so let's look at here. And if you're like me, that means I'm aligning myself with them. Okay, I'm basically making myself relatable. If you're like me and you'd prefer to do business without losing sleep at night, again, something they can relate with, right? So relatability is key here. Okay, I'm just trying to show you some examples. I'll give you the tools that I used. Okay, that I used to make all the sales. Okay, um, and then you too can explore even further. Okay, I have been able to change my life and more because of the simple skills I will be revealing to you. Okay, that's just me now getting to the point. Now I'm piling up bonuses, right? but I'm not giving them bonus up front. I'm telling them a story. I started with a story. I'm telling my story and giving my story of how did we get here, right? Very, very important. Very, very, very important. So this is just another form of sales letter. Not only that, I'm also teaching them a little slight session of it. I'm teaching them, okay? So again, all part of the pre-framing. You're pre-framing their mindset. Eventually, what do we want to do? We want to ask for the sale, okay? So if I go down here, eventually at some point and say, hey, if you use a smartphone, a laptop, social media, simple digital age basic skills, and I will show you how to get it all set up and running within the next 11 days. We call it 11 days challenge. About to start asking for the money at this point, okay? Still telling a little bit of story here and there, but we're getting closer and closer. And here's a breakdown of 11 days challenge, okay? All right. The idea is that we're using words, but the key thing that I have to keep reminding myself about is to be descriptive. Okay, use adverbs, adjectives, use thoroughly, use hilarious, right? That guy is really, really, really making a strong point. The really, see, I could easily say that guy is making a strong point. But the moment I say this guy is really, really making a strong point, I'm putting some emphasis. I'm trying to get you to feel. We do this naturally, but then suddenly this kind of behavior they cease when it's time to orchestrate and actually design a sales. But I want you to understand that it's a skill set when you're able to create it from a very pragmatic standpoint, okay? From a very intentional standpoint. It's called copywriting. All right, so we have that right there. It's pre-framing. You pre-frame and then you ask, okay? You pre-frame and then you ask. That's how you do it. You pre-frame, you prepare them, you prepare the ground, particularly from an emotional standpoint, and then you ask, okay? So that's how. Now let's talk about homework, okay? I want to give you a homework right now because, again, this is the number one skill set that you're going to ever have, and I want you to read more on it. Okay, I'm going to give you some material, the same material that I continue to read. I continue to go through it, okay, including the one that I just picked up. And I don't know why it took me so long to pick it up, but I finally picked it up. It's been sitting on my Kindle app for so long. But I read chapter 1 and I'm super excited, okay? It's called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, okay? It's a book. Just go get it. Just find it on Amazon and get it, right? So there's this four material that I want you to dig in a little bit deeper into. This is your homework, okay? And give me a 1 page of enough material that you're able to dig up. But more importantly, I want you to go beyond that and continue to study this material. If I were you, I would get my hands on any book and have them in my shelf because you will find them super useful as time goes on. Not just for when you're selling stuff, but even when you're selling an idea, content, pure content, you need these things, okay? So Never Split the Difference has this 24 notes that, that I took just from chapter 1, okay? Just from chapter 1. And I can't wait to continue the book. So I'm gonna actually just go copy this for you and paste it directly, and we're gonna go through it. Okay, there you go. All right, so seed warmth into the interaction. This is what I meant by pre-framing earlier. I'm sorry, how do I? Okay, so I'm sorry also has some element of I'm sorry, how do I, what's in it for me, right? Somebody's trying to get you to make a move. You say, what's in it for me? How do I? And then you get them thinking, okay? It's this skill set are going to be useful when it comes to negotiations as well, okay? But you will find them useful in writing ad copies. Then also, when you're asking questions, don't ask questions that basically end in a definite answer, right? Ask open-ended questions. Definite answers like yes or no or one or two or three. Those are terrible questions when it comes to negotiations, and also when you're trying to get people to think in the direction of this makes sense to buy. You don't want to ask them questions that are closed-ended, okay? You're giving them illusion of control. Okay, this is all from chapter 1 alone. A lot of this is about negotiations and not necessarily about writing out copies, but a lot of them are interchangeable. You can use them against each other, right? Iterative and intellectual process. Okay, that's negotiation stuff. How am I supposed to do that? That's a good question. Insinuate that the other side was being dishonest and unfair. This is a lot of this is negotiations, but it helps you understand how the human mind works, right? Fears, needs, perceptions, and desires. These are things that you want to spell out in your copies. If it's an article or a sales letter, okay, there's only so much of it you can spell out in an ad copy, like a simple ad that's designed to make people to click, like this one, right? Or like this one's at the top, right? There's only so much. So this one says free. The word free is always intriguing. It's always compelling, especially if the value in the title is something that they want. For example, training your puppy in 2 weeks, that's probably extremely valuable to dog owners, right? So especially a free workshop, I can't wait. Now, if you're a marketer, you're like, all this free stuff everywhere, they're all liars. That's because you are inclined as a marketer. A regular person does not know that. And you need to I have to keep reminding myself that. Okay? All right, so let's keep going here. So you definitely want to spell out the fear, the needs, from a feeling standpoint, perceptions, what is their belief systems, right? And their desires, and their deepest desire. You want to spell them out. Their system was easy to follow, blah, blah. Okay, so these are some other stuff, some extra stuff. The framing effect I told you earlier, pre-framing, okay? All right, loss aversion, okay? That's something you definitely want to pay attention to. Again, I will be teaching deeper and deeper into this inside of the inner circle. So keep an eye out for that. Okay. Tactical sympathy, active listening, calibrated questions. Okay. Very good stuff. Now, I also have this that I will be teaching from later on. Okay. Inside of the inner circle. It's called the 12-step foolproof sales letter by David Frey. I use this all the time. Most of my sales letter I use it for. But these are the 12 steps. Number one, step one, you want to get attention. Okay, get their attention. That's the title essentially. An example would be how to. Remember, we talked about how to. The secrets of whatever the value they're getting revealed, right? One, you don't even think about whatever the value until you've read this article or something like that, right? That's step number one. Number two is identify the problem. You need to not just identify the problem, spell it out, right? Agitate the problem so they really feel pain and agony. All right. If it doesn't exist, they won't feel it. Okay. So it's stuff that's already in them. You're just helping them say, hey, it's time to solve this problem. You do have this problem. So, for example, there's nothing worse than getting home in the evening and not having your garage door open. This is for a person that's trying to sell the automatic garage door opener, right? So that's one right there. It's another one. Step three is to provide a solution, right? They already felt the pain. You pre-framed them, right? You're giving them the solution, essentially the information about the solution, because you can't really provide solution that will cost money or time, right? But you can tell them what the solution is. Tell them there is no need to struggle through the problem. Tell them there is solution, essentially. You're telling, right? And then you present your credential. You cannot tell them what your credential, your accolades, how you qualify, right? You can tell them a little bit about your story, right? Why you qualify to solve this problem for them. Step 5 is show the benefits, What's the benefit of whatever this thing you're selling is, right? This tangible, even if it's information, it's still tangible, right? Get a piece of paper, draw a line down the center, write the features on the left, think about obvious and not so obvious benefits. List those on the right, okay? So basically, what is the transformation that this product and service is going to give them? Not the features, not the buttons and the bells and the whistles, but what's the transformation, the actual transformation? So if you were selling a microphone, it could be a better quality of sound. not the microphone, not the what do you call it, the little volume knob on the microphone, but the fact that this microphone is going to give them a better quality of sound is what you want to focus on. If you have testimonials, you want to provide that. Step 6. Step 7, make them an offer. Ask for the sale, right? Eventually, after all this pre-filming, you ask for the sale. Then you can close with a reminder. A reminder could be maybe a guarantee or something, or what they get to miss if they don't take action today. You can give them a one-liner reminder. Okay, that's step 12 right there. Before we get to step 12, 8, you want to give them some kind of guarantee, 100% guarantee. Most people, they just need that to help them push them over the edge. They already know they're going to buy. But if they already know they're going to buy, and then suddenly you're saying, hey, if you're not happy in 90 days, as long as it's less than 90 days, you can get your money back. That makes the decision super easier for them, right? So then we have step 9, scarcity. Right? You can't have the product laying around forever, then it loses value, because if it can just sit around forever, unless it's super expensive, then you can let it sit there, right? So scarcity is something you do want to inject in there. They don't feel enough pain to make a change. They are too busy, or just forget. Like, things happen, like life happens. You don't want it to be like that forever. All right, and then we have step 10 here, right? A call to action. Again, ask for the sale. Give a warning, a warning that, hey, this is going to go away. These are all copywriting, okay? It's all copywriting right there. So hopefully you took some notes, because I'm not going to share the PDF. I want you to engage the video, okay? I want you to engage the video. All right, so that's definitely make sure you pick up the book Never Split the Difference, the Kindle. I'm reading from the Kindle right now, like literally. I'm getting ready to start chapter 2. What does chapter 2 say? Let me show you right now. Hopefully I can show you. Kindle. Let's see. See, chapter 2 right here says be, hopefully you can see, be a mirror, right? So I'm going to be reading that. What does it start with? It's September 30, 1993. It starts with a story. Storytelling is a skill set you're going to need to master even more, right? How to Win and Influence Friends by Dale Carnegie is always a good addition to this skill set, okay? So pick that one up as well. And let me know in your homework that you've picked it up. I don't expect you to be able to read everything, right? But let me know that, hey, I've ordered it, Then also another guy that I want you to check out is Ben Settle. You could literally just Google his name. It's the guy that I learned copywriting from for the first time. I learned it from him through Mike Dillard, okay? Google it. Comes right. Sign up for his newsletter. His newsletter is a good newsletter to subscribe to, and you see how he words. His wordplay and his emails, his daily emails are super. You don't have to buy his stuff. If you want, you can buy. But I think he has some $97 per month, maybe more. I'm not sure what he's selling these days. But particularly the free newsletter is a good place to subscribe to. This one is very important. Okay, this one right here is very important. Expert Secrets is a book that I think you should get. It's a book that I reference all the time. It's sitting on my shelf at home, and I reference this book all the time. You can literally go to myempirepro.com/expert secrets. It's an affiliate link, so you'll be supporting me by using that link. myempirepro.com/expert secrets. It will ship the book to you for free. All you have to do is pay for the shipping. Okay, so go check it out. Russell Brunson is a superstar in the digital marketing world. So you should definitely check that out. So, like I said, never split the difference. It's going to come mainly from negotiation skill set. You'll be able to learn how the human mind works when they have to make tough decisions. A lot of time involving life and death, because this guy, Chris Voss, is an ex-FBI agent. So these are real stuff, okay? That's used in the real world to govern the world that we live in. And a lot of us don't realize, right? Okay, so it's a good skill set to have to understand that. Then How to Win and Influence Friends by Dale Carnegie. It's a very old, ancient book that you need to pick up and have it on your shelf. Okay. And also Bensetto email player. Email players is the name of his product. His name is Bensetto. So it's also a guy that I follow closely. I just watch what he does with his email, and I continue to learn from it. So just this newsletter will do the magic, and feel free to support his business as well. Then also Expert Secrets, like I said, Russell Brunson. My empirepro.com/expert secrets is a book. It will send the book to you for free, and you just pay for the shipping. So it's a book that I reference all the time. It has diagrams in it. It has everything you need to know about storytelling. Remember, I kept talking about storytelling so far, and then also there's a whole breakdown of how to script out a whole webinar in that book. So even when you're doing a webinar, a masterclass, a podcast, you learn exactly how to lay out your words so that based off of what I share with you, which is the pain, pleasure, relief, question, answers, problem solving, all these different things that we covered today, laid out in a way that you can actually execute on it. Okay, so yes, that's that for that. I think you will thank me about this for this later. Okay, so that's your homework. Give me a quick 50 to 100 write-offs and tell me what you've covered so far, and then share some additional tips that you picked up just off of this foundation that we've laid today. And I can't wait to talk to you on the next one. Hopefully you've been enlightened and educated. I will see you on the next one, and peace.